On Earth, there are many different types of ecosystems, ranging from tropical to temperate to polar, as well as cold, hot, wet, and dry. Fauna and flora adjust to these ecosystems, but there will likely be some shifts of certain animal species in the future. Climate change has been happening for millions of years and does occur naturally. However, it has been accelerated by human means, especially industrialization. It's sort of a catch-22 in that industry did create environmental degradation, but we won't have the luxuries of the modern world without it. Human degradation also caused the destruction of forests and the displacement of animals so much that some species have gone extinct. Heading into the future, some animal species that live in certain ecosystems may migrate to other ecosystems. This may take some time, but it's a possibility. Which animal species have a high chance of migrating to new ecosystems? Let's find out now. The Arctic and Antarctic polar regions are among the most hostile and extreme areas on Earth, but both are home to a surprisingly high number of species, with the exception of interior Antarctica, which virtually has no life except for microbes. The polar bear is a top consumer carnivore which thrives in the Arctic, including in northern Alaska, Canada, and Russia. It thrives off living on sea ice, and in the warmer months, they do migrate to land, where they often scavenge for food until the ice returns. But what if that ice slowly disappears? It's a far futuristic possibility, and this might threaten the polar bear. But intermingling might be a likelihood. Polar bears are increasingly interacting with grizzly bears, whose range is expanding northward. Even though polar bears and grizzlies are different species, they're closely related and can interbreed. When they do, the result is a hybrid known as the grizzly bear or growler bear. These hybrids often have a mix of features, like the white-blonde fur of a polar bear and the hump and claws of a grizzly. While these matings are still rare, they are happening more frequently as the two species overlap due to natural and artificially induced climate change. Another cold weather deer species, the moose, lives mostly in subarctic ecosystems, within Alaska, Canada, parts of the northern continental United States, Scandinavia, and Russia. While large, moose are exclusively herbivores, only eating vegetation. These animals are built for cold environments, but as temperatures rise, they're moving further north to stay in their comfort zone. In parts of the United States, like Minnesota and New Hampshire, moose populations are actually declining, not because of predators, but because warmer weather is fueling an explosion of ticks. Some moose are getting covered in tens of thousands of them, literally being drained to death. So, as winters get shorter and less harsh, moose are being pushed into cooler northern environments, including to the Arctic areas of Canada and Alaska. The nine-banded armadillo is one of the most surprising animals making their way north. Originally native to Central and South America, these armor-plated creatures have been slowly expanding their range throughout the southern United States for over a century. But now, thanks to milder winters and less snow cover, they're pushing into places like Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and even southern Ohio. And eventually, some zoologists say they may make their way to the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, such as Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. You never expect to see one this far north, but climate change is literally opening a door for them. The armadillo doesn't hibernate and isn't built for freezing temperatures, so warmer winters are making survival possible in these areas where they would have died just a few decades ago. And while they're interesting little creatures digging for insects, grubs, and worms, they're not without problems. For one, they're terrible at crossing roads. Armadillos are known for jumping straight up when startled, which doesn't go well when a car is coming. As a result, they're frequently hit by vehicles, especially in areas not used to seeing them. So even though their range is expanding, it's not always a smooth ride, literally. One sort of pest species, the mosquito, is also making its move into different ecosystems. Keep in mind that not all mosquitoes are bad, and many of them actually feed on nectar rather than blood and contribute to pollination of plants. But there are some bad guys that spread diseases, some which could be really deadly. We're already seeing species like the Aedes aegypti, which can carry Zika, dengue, and yellow fever, moving into parts of the southern and even central US. Warmer weather means they can breed more, live longer, and show up earlier in the season. On top of that, heavier rainfall, poor drainage, or people who forget to drain their above-ground pools create perfect breeding grounds. It's not just annoying, it's a legit public health issue. Diseases that used to be rare in the United States are now starting to show up more often. This can create public health problems or even emergencies if these diseases become epidemics. North America is home to many different types of canine species, such as wolves and foxes. But coyotes have become one of the most adaptable animals on the continent, and now they're showing up in some of the most unexpected places, including in major cities like New York. There have been many confirmed sightings of coyotes in Central Park, and there have been rare sightings in the Bronx and even on the Upper East Side in a parking garage. These animals used to roam wide open plains and forests, but over time, they figured out how to survive in urban environments. They're smart, resourceful, and not picky eaters. They'll go after rats, garbage, pet food, and even small pets if given a chance. What's wild is that New York didn't even have coyotes until the 1990s, and now they're becoming a regular part of the city's ecosystem. As suburbs sprawl and forests shrink, coyotes are stepping in and filling a new niche. They're basically learning to live alongside humans, quietly and often without being noticed. Yet, unlike smaller animals, coyotes can attack, especially if they're infected with diseases like rabies. And if their populations continue to rise, encounters with humans in densely populated cities like New York can become a public health threat. Therefore, management of coyotes, such as relocating ones within the city, may need to be ramped up in the future. Animal species will continue to evolve naturally, but they'll also evolve artificially from human causes such as climate change, deforestation, and urban development. However, some species are better adapted at adjusting to change like this than others, and pretty much, humans may have to get used to living with animals previously not associated with their communities. That concludes this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like learning about the world, you found the right channel. So be sure to subscribe to my channel, Urban to Earth, to view more videos. Until next time.